Your video's still on as well.
Have I? Oh man, I was just scratching my balls. That's all.
The resolution of your camera's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you were able to see my balls being scratched whilst I was doing all that.
High definition.
Video off, Sam on. Let's do this.
That is the hardest part of that ring. The hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to discuss the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Sam. Adam's been kidnapped by The Undertaker, but I'm joined today by my Ministry of Darkness. Hello, John.
Hello. Oh, Ministry of Darkness is one of my favourite things in wrestling.
Well, there we go. You're like my pallbearer.
Oh, could I not be like Midian? I'd be okay with Midian.
You can be old apocalypse sausages if you want.
I don't want to be a apocalypse sausages.
But you'll have to take that away from who else we're joined by, which is Brett.
Hey,
How you doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm not apocalypse sausages, am I? Is that what you were going on to do?
I think that would have been incredibly mean. Just for the poor listener who doesn't know who apocalypse sausages are, it's a phrase coined by John in regards to viscera. So, lovely. Very nice, John. We are here today to talk about Stomping Grounds.
Yay.
It feels like it's been a long time since we've had a WWE pay-per-view. What was the previous one that wasn't Super Showdown?
Good question. Oh, Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank.
Money.
Money in the Bank. Was that any good? I can't remember.
I think compared to Stomping Grounds, it was bloody amazing.
Yeah. Well,
Review done.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was easy. We were all going home.
Type 5. Nice.
So yes, WWE Stomping Grounds. We're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, last week's podcast, we had the summer quiz. That was fun. Lots of ups, lots of downs.
A lot of downs. Lots of downs. That's where Adam is at the moment. He's still crying in a corner somewhere.
Yeah, he is still alive.
Or maybe he's celebrating.
It didn't push him over the edge.
We're not going to spoil it for you, listener. Or are we?
Oh, I suppose you might not. Yeah, good point. Spoiler free. Who knows?
He may or may not be crying or celebrating. But yes, our last podcast was the summer quiz. I would recommend you go check that out because there's a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and it's a fantastic ending. This podcast, though, as we have alluded to, is a WWE Stomping Grounds. It's a name, isn't it? Stomping Grounds.
Oh, it's a rubbish one.
It sounds like a wrestling promotion you'd get in George Orwell's 1984.
It had a lot in common with George Orwell's 1984. Actually.
Oh, really? This is. Do you reckon?
Yeah, that was very kind of dystopian and grey.
And the end is full of melancholy.
Yeah. So Stomping Grounds, it was the first of its kind to replace Backlash, which they basically renamed because of the irony behind doing all the Saudi shows.
Do you reckon that's legit? That can't be the reason.
I really hope that is the reason.
It makes sense, but I doubt it.
But yeah, and we're going to talk about it after this.
Oh my God! Oh, nice spread on the apron.
Stomping Grounds 2019, taking place from Tacoma, Washington. Never been there. Have you guys been to Washington?
No, I've heard awful things about Washington.
Yeah.
No.
I love it. Took Brett a little time there as well. Like,
Have you been to America, Brett?
Yes, I have. No,
Okay.
I've been to Washington, DC, but not Washington State.
That's the real Washington,
Yeah.
isn't it? And then the fake one is in Seattle or something.
Yeah, that's right.
oh, because I was confused about that because they said Daniel Bryan it's his hometown, but I was like, I thought he was from Seattle.
No, I thought Daniel Bryan was from Aberdeen, Washington, but then I thought Aberdeen was in Scotland. I don't really know geography.
We are doing terribly at this bit.
Yeah, I know. Adam must be screaming at the moment, but that's okay.
Move on.
He is in the Undertaker's coffin.
So we can
attendance.
Yeah, take the piss out of their attendance.
Attendance reported to be as low as 4,000.
Yes.
Wow.
Did you see the photos of from the fans in the stands?
Yeah, I did indeed.
Showing the curtains hiding loads of empty seats, and they shuffled people around to make it look a bit more full.
Yeah, well, you could even see that on the broadcast. Like when they went to the other side, sort of hard cam side, you could see in the back it was just blackness. There was no one there.
Oh dear, just it's hard to watch, isn't it? I mean, the thing is that it's been a while since we've had a pay-per-view for WWE.
Yeah, a month, I guess.
It feels like it's been quite a long gap.
Yeah, it does.
And it feels like that gap is continuing because this just felt like an episode of Raw.
Yeah. Who knew that if you put Baron Corbin in your main event, you're not going to sell that many tickets?
WWE Stomping Ground. The card. On the pre-show, we had our 205 Live standard pre-show match. Drew Gulak versus Tony Nese versus Tozawa. Did you watch that, Brett?
I did, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I saw on the reports it said it was an amazing match.
Yeah,
I've
it was
that as well.
Really good. All of them were amazing. Tozawa's just like a nut job when it comes to suicide dives because he just flies into them head first. And yeah, like Gulak came out with the win, which was great. And he had this sweet finisher, which was like a torture rack into a neck breaker.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, looked really
I do love
nice.
Gulak. Really
I'm a big fan of Drew Gulak as well. I think that's kind of that's how he's popped up on my draft.
And he's rocking like, just black trunks with like black, pads and stuff. So he's looking cool as at the moment. And Tony Nese is just a machine.
Tony Abs, yeah. Goodness me.
Weird champion though, Tony Nese. Kind of not very charismatic.
No, like he's definitely a case of amazing wrestler.
Yeah.
Which
great abs.
A good number of 205 guys suffer from, really, don't they?
Yeah. I get the impression with Tony Nese, he's a little bit like the Nick Cage of 205 Live. As our Nick Cage aficionado, Brett, was that a fair assessment?
Oh, not at all, because like Nick Cage is just oozing charisma and craziness.
Also, on the WWE roster, I'd say R-Truth is the Nick Cage.
I was going to say, I'm going to come back to you later, Brett, with a kind of who is your WWE Nick Cage of the week. I think maybe we'll try that into a thing. So yes, Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, Tozawa on the pre-show. Gulak coming away with the victory there. Big win for him. Main card, we had Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the New Day. The not the Speed formation, the Big E and Xavier Woods formation, whatever that's called. Ricochet versus Samoa Joe. Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan versus Heavy Machinery. Bayley versus Alexa Bliss with Nikki Cross. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre with Shane McMahon. Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler in a steel cage match. And finally, Baron Corbin versus Becky Lynch's boyfriend with special guest referee Lacey Evans.
I like that. That fits in with how Twitter's going for him at the moment as well.
Oh, God. God damn it.
All going quite interestingly at the moment. So as per tradition, we're going to focus on the key matches. We've got 4 of them this week. We've got Becky versus Lacey, Bayley versus Bliss, Kofi Dolph and Rollins Corbin. So all the 4 titles. Let's start with Becky versus Lacey. John, what did you think?
I actually thought this was quite a fun opener. Actually, I'm going to admit this to you guys because Adam's not here to have a go at me, but I haven't really been keeping that in touch with what's happening in WWE over the last couple of weeks. So I went into this with like a completely fresh outlook, and I was enjoying this match. Lacey Evans is still very green. She's not necessarily the best wrestler, and it kind of showed in this match. There was a couple of spots that she kind of not quite botched, but weren't really great.
I think, it was a case of which like I'm sort of learning is she wasn't positioned very great throughout this match. I think there was times where she wasn't where she was meant to be.
Yeah, that bit where Becky went into the corner to do a jump up kick,
which makes it look a bit bad when you're not in the right spot.
Love her or hate her, she is very much getting the rub at the moment, isn't she?
I find it so hard to grasp her as well. I don't know. I really hate her, and I'm not sure whether that's because she's doing a really good job, or whether I just hate her.
So I've got a note written down here. Is Lacey Evans meant to be classy or like ironically classy, but actually skanky? Because I'm a little bit kind of confused by the whole
her ring
gimmick.
Gear is not classy.
Right. Okay. No. Cool. And
the whole southern accent doesn't come across as classy either. Sorry.
It's a strange one because like she comes across fairly classy, but like in a kind of my name is Earl sort of way, and I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. I do quite like it though. And I love the entrance music.
I think she's done well considering how big they've pushed her and how they've just stuck her in the main event, really. And she only wrestled I feel like a handful of times on NXT, really.
Yeah, she did better in the Money in the Bank match.
Yes, that was a good match. This was a bit shaky.
Yeah, I think this was still. I with you, John. Though I enjoyed this match. I thought you'll tell as we talk through the pay-per-view. I think it definitely had a trajectory of like up and downwards from then on, from pre-show to this and then on. But no, there were a couple of spots that were shaky. But actually, I enjoyed this match. I think they're both. Even though, like as you say, Lacey's getting like a bit of a push, and usually, a too early push in WWE doesn't go down that well. But she's got a strong character, and obviously Becky, the man, has a great character, so it was entertaining.
Yeah, Becky looked the business in this match.
Yeah,
she got a great reaction, probably the biggest reaction of the whole night, actually, for the crowd.
I quite enjoyed this match. There was a few bits and pieces I was quite into. I really like Lacey Evans' springboard stunner kind of move. Thought Bronco Buster was pretty good as well. Like generally, I like a lot of the stuff that she's bringing to the table.
Yeah.
But I think you're completely right in the fact that she is unfortunately just very green, and I don't mind her being in the main event, to be honest. But I feel like, okay, she's had a moment. She's not ready for Becky yet, and for me personally, this would have been a great opportunity to end the feud and just be like, you know what? That's it. You tried. You didn't win. Now it's time to go feud with Carmella or something. Like, just sort of, I don't know, keep that main event cycle kind of rumbling through, going through lots of different people, trying to build the credibility of the champion by having her wrestle more people rather than kind of dragging this out over a series of months.
Maybe not waste Nikki Cross as Alexa Bliss's friend and suddenly not be nuts anymore and go back to her awesome sanity character and someone who is an awesome wrestler, challenge for the belt.
It's so weird seeing Nikki Cross be a relatively normal person. Like when she was doing the backstage segment, I was like, "What? Who is that?"
Well, that leads us very nicely into Alexa Bliss versus Bayley with Nikki Cross. And I think we're all agreed that we don't like Nikki's new "I'm your friend" gimmick.
Why did they mess with something that was working? Like, like it was. She had an awesome character. It doesn't matter whether they ditch sanity or not. Like, she can still be that character. But
well, that's it. Like, I would say Nikki Cross's hottest moment as well was probably kind of after Sanity actually had gone up to the main roster, and she was getting involved in the main event of NXT with the whole kind of Nikki's got a secret.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
That was amazing.
Was it No I Quit match with Asuka?
Yeah, the No DQ with Asuka. That was amazing.
That was incredible, that match.
Yeah, they've got so much talent that they don't use.
Absolute great wrestler, and I don't know, it's kind of cool to see her being involved in sort of the actual storylines and stuff, but at the same time not at the cost of throwing away her character. But I suppose kind of there is an argument to say that it does need to, I don't know, maybe evolve a little bit when it comes onto the main roster.
Only if they're going to have her be the friend.
Sure.
I think it can work in other ways. She doesn't have to be people's chum, but that's how they work those factions of the women, isn't it?
I do have a little bit of faith in this, though, that this is building towards a Nikki Cross Alexa Bliss kind of match where Cross is going to snap and she's going to go, she'll be a face, but she'll be like a psychotic face.
That'd be cool.
And I think that alongside like Alexa Bliss and her expressions and her reactions, I think there's a lot of potential there that we need to be a little bit patient with it. But again, like, this is a little bit of a one and done for me where it's like, okay, we've had the championship match. Now we need to move Bayley on to something else and maybe kind of make Bliss and Nikki Cross their own little feud, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is one of the actual things from this pay-per-view I'm interested in is sort of... I'm really excited about the possibility of Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross because I think that would be a great match.
I agree completely. I think there's a lot to that feud. And I've got to be honest, I thought this was actually quite a good match from Bayley. I liked her knees. I like kind of a more brutal style she's going for here at the moment. The sunset flip bombs, both her and Alexa Bliss
that one into the turnbuckles. You shouldn't be doing that to Alexa Bliss after she's come back from numerous concussions.
Yeah, dangerous moves.
Bayley does look a little bit more ruthless these days. I don't know if that's just me reading too much into it.
I'm quite liking the new ring gear as well, with like the kind of the coat jacket thingy. It's all a bit weird, but
yeah,
I'm okay with it. I'll tell you what I actually found very interesting about this was the build up to the match. So I've not been watching Raw or SmackDown because I don't hate myself that much.
So that's all of
not
us.
true, Sam. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. Every day. But the actual build up promo package they did, where they had Alexa Bliss telling Bayley, you peaked in NXT. It's like, wow, that's
harsh.
That's harsh, but I tell you what, it's kind of nail meet hammer. Yeah. It all sounds kind of, like if we've got one good thing to take away from this, I'd say generally the build-up packages have been very nice to watch as 3-minute vignettes.
Yeah, they always do a good job of that though, WWE. Like they recap you in 2 minutes of exactly what's happened over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. But thankfully I've not watched the last 6 weeks. Hopefully none of you guys have either. Overall, what do we think of the match? Good match?
Yeah, solid.
Okay match?
Really good, actually. I enjoyed it a lot. And it made me realise one of my favourite things in wrestling is just watching Alexa Bliss give the referee shit.
Yeah.
It's really nice actually to see Alexa Bliss wrestling again, to be honest. Like, it's been quite a long break, hasn't it?
Yeah, especially in singles competition.
Yeah.
It's been good. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was decent. I definitely think it was like midway through the thingy. Like, as I'm looking at this card and I'm remembering my watching and my mood as this pay-per-view went on, like, this was definitely decent, but that fit where it was.
Was it last year these two had that kendo stick
my
on a
goodness,
pole
that
match? Was it them?
That was Extreme Rules, I think maybe 2 years ago, and that's one of the worst matches I think I've ever seen.
So they've come a long way in that time.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to this, to be honest. Like, maybe they got another match in them, maybe not, but like I'm happy for them to kind of go either way on this one. I don't feel too heavily invested in the SmackDown Women's title scene at the moment. I think maybe because of how much support and kind of interest Becky Lynch has had, it kind of comparatively feels like a second tier title.
Well, especially if Bayley's fighting Raw women as well.
Yeah.
Is Alexa Bliss Raw?
Yeah, I think
it doesn't matter at the moment.
Wild card.
Yeah, there's just the same people each week, I think. That's why so many have gone missing.
Maybe they need to do a unification match, get those two titles together as one, and then have a secondary title. Women's Intercontinental title. I'd be on board with that.
I'd be on board with that as well.
So that they could give it to someone and then just not have them on TV either.
Yeah,
Just do little YouTube packages for Twitter.
Poor WWE women. You only ever get wheeled out whenever WWE need to cover something up. But I mean, I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Actually, both the women's matches on this card were very good in comparison to a lot of the other tripe we served.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of which, we're going to go on to Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler.
I had so many questions about this match. Why is this in a steel cage match? They had one match in Saudi Arabia that no one watched, and apparently that's enough to elevate the feud to a steel cage.
It's a steel cage match to keep the New Day out of it, which I suppose doesn't really make sense when you're a face wrestler.
Yeah. What? Like, Yeah, totally.
So the second match in your feud should not be a steel cage match.
Oh, where do you go from there? I mean, it's got to be the Punjabi prison, hasn't it?
Scaffolding match, maybe.
It's interesting, actually, because Dolph Ziggler, he is probably, I would say, the biggest victim of the 50-50 booking of WWE in the last 5 or 6 years. Like, he's never really been given the push he needs, or when they have, they've kind of always fallen shy of actually dedicating themselves to it. And so because of that, the crowd just don't really care about him.
He hasn't been on TV a lot. Well, I suppose he has recently pushing this feud, but he was off TV for a long time before that.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think, like, if you think about it, the way, like, Becky Lynch is still getting, obviously, a lot of fan, like, it seems like the storyline and how behind people are behind certain wrestlers seems to be, like, from, a month ago or 2 months ago. Like, I don't think there's much build or excitement to many people currently going on. Because everyone's hating on the storylines, everyone's hating on people being missing, and, like, it's just like there's not much to invest in apart from watching each match as an exhibition.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to say to that. I think generally, like, Stomping Ground felt very just like another episode of Raw, to be honest. And I think that's kind of a bit of a damning indictment of the entire pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the feuds that all the champions are in, it's just such meagre, low-hanging fruit feuds. Like Corbin, Lacey Evans, Dolph Ziggler. There's nothing exciting there.
Adam would be doing his shit that we're not talking about the match though at the moment.
No, we're not talking about
So,
the match.
Cage match, Kofi, Dolph.
These guys have wrestled each other so much, and I thought they'd have such great chemistry, but it just felt boring, this match.
Yeah,
I think there was
so boring.
I thought there were bits and pieces to this match that I enjoyed. I quite liked. I mean, first of all, I'm going to be honest. I quite like Rage Ziggler, his new gimmick. I think it's kind of maybe not as good as his underdog gimmick, but better than his parody gimmick, his cheerleader gimmick, his show off gimmick, and his entrance hating gimmick.
Nice.
But generally, like, I thought he actually, again, like the video package, I think sold him quite well here. And then generally his in the ring performance, the ankle lock, and then shouting at the ref, "There's no rope break."
Yeah, that was cool.
Stuff like that. I think there was a few pieces going here which I was kind of on board with.
And the bit where he kicked Kofi nearly out of the steel cage was quite cool as well. I like that bit.
Yeah, I think kind of there are bits and pieces to this match that I really enjoyed. I feel like maybe part of the issue with the steel cage match is that kind of a steel cage always leaves you with an expectation that someone's got to jump off something at some point.
Yeah.
And that never really kind of took off in that sense.
Especially with these two. You'd expect that of these two.
So it kind of felt like, just what's the point? I mean, I suppose kind of the point was they did it for the end spot with the suicide dive out of the cage.
That was cool. That was a really cool ending to this match, I thought.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I mean, it's dissimilar to kind of like going into a ladder match and just climbing the ladder and like not doing the whole kind of slow step by step and then kind of grasping, reaching. But yeah, man, I thought it was all right. I enjoyed it. I think kind of not. I don't think I'm ever going to get that excited for Dolph Ziggler in the main event because of his booking in the past.
He can be so hot and cold, Dolph Ziggler. There's some matches you see him in, and you're like, fucking hell, Dolph Ziggler's such a great wrestler. And others, you're just like, oh, why is Dolph Ziggler still wrestling?
I think actually the thing with Dolph Ziggler is that, for me personally, I think he peaked around about Survivor Series 2014 or 15 when he was like...
Yeah, the last one.
That was such an amazing moment.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
A real kind of like platform for them to build on, and they threw him completely under the bus after that.
He had that amazing feud with... Was it The Miz a few years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great feud. That was a good feud.
I think... Dolph Ziggler, though, he's possibly the wrestler who would benefit the absolute most from leaving the WWE and perhaps going to New Japan or AEW.
I don't think he'd want to, because I don't think he's really... I mean, he's obviously into wrestling, but he's obviously into stand-up and stuff like that as well. I think he just does this, he enjoys it, gets a paycheck, and he can do his other stuff on the side.
Do you guys remember his stand-up set?
I've not
weird.
seen
No,
it.
I've not watched it. I've just heard he did stand-up, which...
I think... Yeah, they aired it on WWE Network once. It was stick to wrestling, Dolph. Stick to wrestling. I say that as I try podcasting and don't really know what I'm doing. So final match of our key matches: Seth frickin' Rollins versus Baron Corbin. Special guest referee Lacey Evans in a no count out, no disqualification match.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a mess. An absolute turd of a mess of a match.
It was a long mess as well.
Yeah.
It felt very long, this match.
So there was a lot to unpack here. We're going to start with the positives. And now we're going to move on to the negatives.
Nicely done.
No, actually, in all seriousness, like one of the things I did quite enjoy was Lacey Evans screaming and shouting at Baron Corbin, telling him to get up every time he fell over.
Yeah.
You can really tell that she's got that army background, like when she was doing the whole refereeing thing, and she was more or less trying to dictate exactly what both wrestlers should be doing.
She does look a bit of a natural in all this stuff, actually.
I think, yeah, she got on the mic. And to be fair, like from a story perspective, I did sort of like the idea behind it a little bit.
I didn't hate the idea of her being the special guest referee.
No, I think my thing about the mess of the match is like, and I can see like why they were doing it, but it was just like there was no, everything was changed and this was thrown out and then this was changed.
Yeah.
And there was I don't know, it just felt like there was no drama. Because even though all that was happening, I was convinced Seth Rollins wasn't losing. I mean, it's Baron Corbin.
Well,
he's not
exactly.
losing. So it just felt like,
I mean, the cynic inside of me says, you know what, the moment Lacey Evans comes out, you know exactly the route they're going to be taking with this.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way it was officiated with the changing of the rules halfway through was very WCW in the bad way, which is, you know, not what you really want to be compared to. And kind of one of the interesting things I thought about this match was like, it feels like WWE set themselves up with a very interesting opportunity to finally embrace intergender wrestling.
Yeah, but nope.
And it was like, oh, are they actually gonna? Is this how they're gonna do it? Is Seth Rollins gonna wail on her with a chair or something? And then it was like, oh no, you're going in deep with this Seth Becky thing. I hope those two don't break up because that's going to be awkward.
I hate that so much.
Me
I can't
too.
believe they've got it involved. Like, I feel so sorry for them that they can't have this thing just to themselves. Like, they've got to shove it in everyone's faces. This new relationship. Let's make it storyline. Let's make it canon. Let's fucking put them in the ring together. That's bullshit.
Awful. It's so bad.
Always does well for relationships, mixing storylines.
Could you
with
imagine
wrestling.
that much pressure on your relationship? It'd be awful.
Yeah, I think maybe if Baron Corbin has an affair with Becky Lynch, we could have a really cool feud on our hands.
Oh my god, that'd
like
be so good.
You said with the intergender wrestling bit though, when Becky came in and she like started hitting Lacey and threw her out the ring, I thought, right, now go beat the out of Baron Corbin. Becky, go on. Like, I thought that was gonna happen, and I was like, okay, suddenly I was back into this match, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I just kind of, if I had to describe it in one word, cringe is probably the way I would go for this, which is a real shame.
Although it did
I think
provide...
it really damages... Sorry, Brett.
No, I was just going to say it did provide actually my favourite part of this match, which was after at the very end when Becky Lynch just smacked him on the butt.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a nice little touch. My issue with them and this sort of relationship thing is I think it kind of damages Becky's character because she's meant to be the man, the one, you know, she kicks ass. She doesn't care about this stuff. And this kind of messes with that.
This is kind of it. Like, could you really imagine, like, if Stone Cold was in that situation? Like, that'd be really odd. I suppose he did his fair share of storylines with Deborah, but Deborah was never, you know, trying to be an independent performer in her own right. So...
It's just a mess. I don't see the benefit to the story to get those two involved. I don't see what benefit that has to a viewer. What story they're going to tell, which is going to get people to tune in.
It was purely to have this match again in their intergender match where they have to keep swapping in and out.
Yes, that's like, incredibly problematic. I think.
It was purely for that match, and then it'll be done.
I think that's probably my biggest indictment of this entire thing is that kind of any pay-per-view which is more or less a setup for another pay-per-view is always a little bit like, well...
Yeah, what's the point? It's another week show.
And it's a shame because I feel like there's a lot of potential here, especially when you have a new pay-per-view to really just, you know, stamp your mark on it and just turn it into something cool. And especially with the bar that's been raised by AEW recently, it feels like WWE need to be trying a lot harder with their kind of
to back
main
up
events.
Seth Rollins Smack Talk on Twitter.
Oh boy, yeah, more on that later.
I've missed this. Good, because I missed it.
Okay, yeah. So Seth Rollins has come out on Twitter, as you do, with that WWE wrestling is the best in the world, and points to the Gulak Nese Tozawa match, which, to be fair,
was great.
Yeah. Will Ospreay comes back saying that he's alive and that he's probably the best in the world. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing here.
Yeah, well, because I think Seth Rollins was saying like there's no one else alive that can, you know, be as consistent and wrestle as many matches as I do, like, you know, week in, week out. And sort of Will Ospreay was like, I'm alive, as in like I've wrestled more times than you have this year.
It's kind of...
Has he really? I imagine Seth Rollins to wrestle every night almost.
I mean, I think kind of...
Maybe Ospreay does as well, though.
A little bit weird because who really cares how many times someone wrestles? It's kind of what's the quality of the match, really.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys remember when Aleister Black came up to the main roster and they had him wrestle like 20 times in about a week? And I like Aleister Black, but my God, that was a lot. So, Also, they do well with The Undertaker, don't they? Have him only wrestle 3 times a year, so maybe that's the way to go.
Well, that might be going up soon. I don't know if you
I saw a funny gif.
The Universal Undertaker groan.
Yeah. He's back.
Just what we want. Well, I mean, those are our key matches. Becky defeats Lacey. Bayley defeats Bliss. Kofi defeats Dolph. Rollins defeats Corbin. No titles changed hand. It was all fairly kind of by the books.
Quickly with the Seth Rollins Corbin match, we got AEW chants, CM Punk chants, Daniel Bryan chants.
Yeah.
Proper old
It's amazing
school.
how loud 300 people can be.
Yeah.
When they're like, this is stupid chants as well, I think.
Yeah, the crowd really did not hold back during this whole pay-per-view, especially during the Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre match.
It was only a 3-hour pay-per-view. This should have had loads of beans left in them. I would have thought they'd be all happy. Like, this is only 3 hours.
So we're going to move on. Best of the rest. Let's bring something good in here.
Yeah. There was good.
Yeah,
let's
definitely.
talk about Ricochet versus Samoa Joe.
What a match!
Yeah, that was amazing. And I give this a lot to Ricochet, like, because he made Joe look like the monster that Joe should look.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like, because
Joe is amazing.
Yeah, but like Ricochet sold everything like you're meant to when you're getting hit by Samoa Joe, which just made this match like awesome. Yeah.
So I was watching this match at work, and I hope no one from my work. That's fine. A co-worker was watching with me who doesn't watch wrestling, and he had the very entertaining commentary the whole way through of, is that little guy wrestling that huge tank of a man? Yep. And he can fly? Yep. And I thought it was a bloody good showcase. This really enjoyable match, a lot of kind of decent spots, just a good match, and a nice finish as well for Ricochet.
Oh yeah, the bit where he went out to backstage as well was really lovely. Triple H there doing the hug, and then Dozovic going, "We believed in you, Rick."
I was so convinced Triple H was going to be that special guest referee, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were. I tell you what, I could watch a 4-hour supercut of Joe doing Uganagis out of the corner.
Oh yes,
they're so good, aren't they?
It was
those clotheslines.
It was that Uranagi as well. Like when they replayed it, they did slow mo, and I was like, no, don't slow motion it, because that had so much speed. It looked awesome. Like he threw him down.
I feel like Samoa Joe has recently, or probably in 2019, been on a fairly decent tear in good times. Like,
he's had decent opponents though, I think, which is key.
I was just gonna say, I really think you could build him up to replace Brock Lesnar. He could do the Brock Lesnar role so well.
This is it. Is that kind of they've tried it out before as well, and he was a credible challenger when he was in that feud with Brock Lesnar. I think Chris Jericho kind of said it best before Stomping Ground even aired, where they said, you know what? You got to swap Baron Corbin and Samoa Joe here, because Baron Corbin, for all his faults, you know, fair enough. He's doing the business. He's trying to stick with the wrestling, and you can't blame him for doing his job. He's not main event yet.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler, I think, Baron Corbin, but he's not definitely not a main event star.
I mean, you tell me Baron Corbin in the US title picture, I can get on board with that. I don't have to like him, but I can respect, you know, he's doing his due. Samoa Joe is an established superstar of wrestling, and he's getting on, and it's like, you know, are you going to push him to the top of WWE? Because quite frankly, that man deserves it. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I think I mean, is it TNA haunting him? Because, like, you know, they don't see that as being an established star.
Yeah, I don't know if it is though, because AJ Styles, you know, he was made champion for ages.
But he also went on, like, he did the business in Japan and stuff as well.
Yes.
Before that.
I think it's more the fact he's a big dude, but he's not that tall and he's not that muscular. I think that's what's holding him back.
Maybe
in the certain eyes of WWE.
Yeah, maybe Vince McMahon needs to take a look at boxing and see what Andy Ruiz did to AJ. And take a page out of that book. John, have you got any other Have you got any other breadths of the rest?
Rest of the rest. Yes, I do. This was a match when they announced it at the start. I was like, oh, why are these guys fighting? But it was an absolute banger. It was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the New Day.
Oh, I'm so glad you said this. Yes, it was.
As always.
Like that start, the quick start was amazing. Like the super kicks, the power bombs.
This is very much kind of going back to the days of Kevin Steen and El Generico. You can tell that those two have a lot of experience wrestling as a tag team.
Yeah, they've got so much chemistry together. They were amazing.
yeah, I really enjoyed the start of this match. What do you think, Brett?
Yeah, no, same as. I thought it was a great match. I like the way they also the old school tag match. They kept Xavier in for ages, just swapping around, beating up on him. I like you said, I love the explosive start with the super kicks into the Blue Thunder Bomb.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's a great win as well. Like, kind of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn going over is well deserved for both of them.
Yeah,
it's great having Big E back from injury as well. Like the hot tag was amazing, and the bit where Xavier sort of squatted him was phenomenal.
That was really impressive.
Yeah.
On the subject of you earlier saying you could watch a supercut of Joe doing Iranagis, I could watch a supercut of just Sami Zayn entrances, and I would be a happy person. Really. Just so good. They become wackier and wilder, and I love it.
Yeah.
Big fan of Sami Zayn at the moment.
I hope we get more of them. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully kind of a main event picture or something would be really nice for them both. Brett, best of the rest.
Best of the rest. So, I mean, I mentioned the pre-show. That was great. But I'm going to go for Otis from Heavy Machinery.
Do you know what, actually?
Because he's so much fun. Like, he's got a lot of character to him. The other guy, Tucker, doesn't have as much character, but he doesn't need to, because Otis is just like, as what was it Corey Graves called him? Something like, he said, Daniel Bryan's trying to save the planet, Otis is trying to be a planet.
Corey Graves was on fire in this match.
Hate Heavy Machinery, but I loved this match.
Yeah, the thing is,
this was a good match.
Like, Heavy Machinery, it's like, it's not a good name. The sort of black and yellow JCB sort of look of their stuff isn't great, but actually, like, their matches are decent, and I think they play off each other quite well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think they are much better than their packaging, shall we say.
I'd agree with that.
I've got to be honest, I like the packaging. I like the idea of basic...
Oh, no.
I really do. I like the idea of packaging them literally as bulldozers.
Yeah, Tonka trucks.
It's a very 80s gimmick, I think, and I'm really on board with it.
It is.
I particularly enjoyed Daniel Bryan kicking Otis Dozovic and him getting into it.
Yeah, him psyching
Daniel
himself
Bryan's
up and
reaction.
being weird. Yeah.
Was absolutely beautiful. It was some real kind of Ultimate Warrior-esque hyping up there during the kicks, and Daniel Bryan just like, what is wrong with you? Fantastic.
I'd have to say, with this match, although I enjoyed it, Daniel Bryan is far too good a wrestler to be in a tag team.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let alone one with Eric Rowan.
He's so good. Like, he's easily one of the best wrestlers in the world, and just watching him work is a joy. And I just feel he's being wasted at the moment.
But it was very enjoyable to watch Daniel Bryan wrestle in Washington, where the crowd were just so behind him.
Yeah.
Even if they're not meant to be. As Michael Cole said, the last vestiges of the Yes movement, which... fair point. Yeah, overall, decent match. The funny thing about this pay-per-view is that for such a rubbish pay-per-view, a lot of the matches were okay.
Yeah.
I'd say the first half, I was really enjoying this match, this pay-per-view, up until the last 3 matches.
Same. I was totally with you. Like, it definitely had a trajectory, because I was really enjoying it. I'm thinking, actually, this is going to be an awesome pay-per-view. Like, it doesn't have any of the pizzazz of other pay-per-views, because it's, got stuff that I'll mention in worse than the rest, but it just, like, it definitely, like, just went downhill. And that second half totally, like, didn't deliver at all.
Yeah, first 5 matches were perfect and fun. The last 3 were just... I was checking my phone, doing anything else but watch.
They dragged massively. Oh.
Well, let's move on to worst of the rest. Brett, do you want to get us started on this?
Okay, so firstly, the name, Stomping Grounds, the logo, having a bloody boot in the logo. I mean, this
save
is
some for the rest of us.
It feels racist, doesn't it? It really does.
Like, pay-per-view, like, it just seems like such a crap, like, early 2000s construction company logo. Like, it just didn't have any of that. And then, like, these boots are made for walking music. Like, come on, WWE's got to be more on the pulse with, like, culture, doesn't it? Like, of what's happening now. I just, like, there was so much. And then obviously they didn't spend any money on this pay-per-view because it had they didn't have the LED screens around the corners, or around the ring. It was just budget
about this actually is that they didn't have the matches on the Titantron either during the event. And there's been a lot of complaints that people in the crowd couldn't actually see the matches, especially the steel cage one.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
Which is a very interesting criticism to level at WWE. Having gone to an episode of Raw quite recently, I had a light shined in my eye for the whole 3 hours, which was awful. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they're kind of the one thing you would expect them to be good at by this point is production values.
It shouldn't ever be an issue at this point. They should be the smoothest running machine going. So yeah, then I'll leave you for some other worse than the rest.
John, pick it up, man.
Well, see, I think we've already discussed it. The last 3 matches were atrocious. I don't really want to talk about Roman versus Drew, so I'm not going to. But why worse than the rest is there's nothing going forward I'm really excited about in WWE at the moment. It's just spinning its wheels.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. Kind of worse than the rest. For me, unfortunately, it's just WWE not really rising to the challenge that's being laid out to them. And, for the last few years, New Japan has been going from strength to strength. And, they've lost a lot of wrestlers, but even now, kind of I'm sat here quite excited for the beginning of the G1 this year.
Totally. I mean, look at the excitement in Jon Moxley.
And
the distance removed from Dean Ambrose to Jon Moxley, and the excitement that wrestler has.
Absolutely.
Just...
And then they've done such a good job because after Wrestle Kingdom, I was kind of a bit down on New Japan.
Yeah, me too.
Because everyone was kind of leaving. All my favourite wrestlers were leaving.
Yeah.
But in 6 months, they've reinvented themselves, basically.
Absolutely.
They're so exciting now.
Yeah.
With Ospreay.
They've got, fully behind Ospreay, haven't they? Giving him a real big push. And the it's G1 massive. Is going to be just amazing.
And then you look at AEW as well, and the exciting new kid on the block with that, and all the kind of potential matches that we're going to be seeing there. And you're just there's so much good wrestling out there at the moment. Why are WWE not giving us good wrestling?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be difficult either. Just
it's just Seth Rollins can say what he likes on Twitter, but at the end of the day, kind of, it just feels like maybe they're catering for different audiences, and I'm starting to feel as if I'm not the audience that WWE are catering for anymore. And you know what? Maybe that's true. Maybe they're not catering for 30-year-old men. Maybe that kind of makes a lot of sense, but it's just, I don't know. It's sad to see because you don't want to see WWE do badly, but it's bad. That's the sad point.
They always go up through ups and downs. I don't know. This is probably they'll be up again. I'm
sure. Well, hopefully we've got SummerSlam coming up soon. We've got The Undertaker and Roman Reigns. I can't even. Oh, boys. Let's just get to the star performer, really. Star performer for Stomping Ground. That's almost an oxymoron. John.
It's the one and only Ricochet.
Brett?
Yeah, I've got to agree.
And I too would have to say Ricochet, star performer. Who drafted Ricochet?
Oh, Sam, you got Ricochet. He's your number 1 pick.
I know. Haha. Oh, I really wanted to ask the question so someone else would answer it.
Yeah, you've got Drew Gulak as well.
It's a big night. Big night for Slam. Wait, what did I call it?
Elimination.
Shamba.
Look at my number 1 pick. Alistair Black.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, what's happened to him?
Where is he? Is he injured?
Somewhere.
What happened?
For those of you who are wondering what in the world we're talking about, we are of course referring to our hardest part of the ring draft, episode 66, where we go through the entire WWE roster and a few others, and all of us draft a fantasy roster, which we are going to basically keep an eye on throughout the year. So yeah, good news for Sam. Always nice.
Big night for you, Sam. Big night.
Big, huge. Speaking of huge, let's give Stomping Grounds an overall rating, something to measure them by for next year's Stomping Grounds. Brett?
I was going to go 7, but there was parts of this that, even though there was, fun matches, there were parts of this that really depressed me, so I'm going to go down to, I'll go 6.5.
6.5. John?
Yeah, I kind of echo Brett sentiment there. Like, if you're a listener and you haven't watched this yet, watch the first half up until the start of Roman Drew and then turn it off. You have a lovely time. I'm going to give it a 6.
6. I'm going to be particularly critical of this. This was poor. This was bad, and this is not really good enough in WWE's.
No,
they've got enough talent on the roster to do better than this. It's going to be a 4.
Yeah, it's fair.
Just not there, unfortunately. Adam would have given it a 10, but he's not here. Overall rating for Stomping Grounds, 5.5. Not the worst pay-per-view. Super Showdown is still there.
If you discount Super Showdown.
So, yeah, I mean, Stomping Grounds, it's in the relegation places. It's a little bit better than Extreme Rules 2018. A little bit worse than WCW Wrestle War 92. So, in good company.
Classic.
Question week.
Well, we've arrived. We've arrived at hardest question of the week. And in honour of Stomping Ground, we asked you, the listener, what is the worst named pay-per-view? So, Loserweight has been in contact with us. Bad WWE pay-per-view names are an In Your House Special, Seasons Beatings, In Your House 5.
I love that one.
Beware of the Dog, In Your House 8. It feels like that could be a new one.
I feel we need to watch that for a rewind. Beware of the Dog, In Your House Special.
Beware of the Dog, that's bad. It's Time, In Your House 12.
Yeah, that's bad.
Revenge of the Taker, In Your House 14.
I didn't see what the cards are for some of these in the house.
In Your House 14, Revenge of the Taker could have been last week's Raw. In Your House 18, Bad Blood, but bad spelt with 2 Ds, which I'm okay with, actually.
Really? You're okay with the extra D?
Yeah, I like it. It's like someone just misspelt bad and that's what they went with.
It's bad.
Unless the main event was like a double D bra match.
Oh, yeah. I thought it might be starring like the Road Dogg with 2 Gs or Jeff Jarrett or something, but oh dear. Aaron Nix, he's been in contact with us. Taboo Tuesday, hot garbage. Taboo Tuesday doesn't sound like a wrestling event.
No.
Also Cyber Sunday, that too was hot garbage. I think kind of, yeah, he's right on that. Cyber Sunday, again, doesn't sound like wrestling. Everyone's saying Great Balls of Fire is wrong. That's the best name. I'm totally with you on that one, Aaron Nix.
It's the worst.
I disagree strongly. It just needs to be said. It just needs to be said in the Vince McMahon voice to have credibility.
All right, okay.
Can we give it all our best, Vince McMahon? Great Balls of Fire. Go for it.
I don't know if I can do a Vince McMahon. I feel pressured now.
Great Balls of Fire.
Oh, that's good.
Beautiful.
Was
that
that
was
okay?
really
bit
good.
piratey at the end there.
Yeah, was a bit.
Fantastic. Aaron Nix also says, P.S. Congrats to Brett and his missus smashing the training. I'm assuming this is your wrestling training and not like first aid. Yeah. Cool. Oh, well done. Gihan has been in contact. How is it not Great Balls of Fire? It's simple, Gihan. Great Balls of Fire is the greatest pay-per-view ever named.
What was the main event? Was that Brock Joe? Great Balls of Fire.
I feel like it was Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman in the ambulance match. MJ of the Riptide After Party Pod says Great Balls of Fire, which conversely is also the best. It feels quite divisive, Great Balls of Fire. And it seems like everyone's on both sides.
Great Balls, it works. It works as a pay-per-view title. It's like crazy. You can imagine it being a pay-per-view title.
I think it very much falls into the category of so bad it's good.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Finally, Capital Clamface. Blimey, those In Your House ones were pretty bad. Like Beware of the Dog, etc. But I think WCW's Road Wild has got to be the stupidest.
That's one of my favourite pay-per-views, the Hog Wild series.
Is that the Gold Dust, the Dustin Rhodes fighting a pickup truck pay-per-view?
Oh, no, I don't think that is. What one is that? That is, I can't remember what it is. The Hog Wild ones are the ones which were shot at a biking convention in, I think it's like Sturgis.
Can we do some of these on our rewind, please?
Oh, they're so
I've not
good.
seen, so I need to...
Because you didn't need tickets to go watch the wrestling, so it's just filled with bikers who have been sat in the sun all day just smoking crack and God knows what else.
Do you think of a more dangerous situation for the wrestlers themselves?
It's bonkers. They're really funny. Not great wrestling, but funny.
I actually want to throw out there Extreme Rules, just because the rules seem to be getting less and less extreme.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are plenty of poorly named WWE pay-per-views. Do you guys have any that you want to add to the list?
I was going to go Hog Wild ones as well, but bloody Capital Clownface stole my my bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel there's a lot of WCW ones that we're probably missing.
Yeah, I feel like if we open the door up for WCW, we can get an entire podcast out of that. Cool. Well, thank you all very much for getting in touch. Really appreciate you guys doing the hard work for us.
Oh, man, shoulder first on the apron.
Oh, that's it. We've reached the end.
Yay, good work, Sam.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a lot of pressure. That's
sweaty.
I feel like I can get a sledgehammer now and run up to a polystyrene throne and just smash it.
Yeah, the new era. Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of which, next podcast, we're not sure.
We're professional.
It's a mystery. Yeah. Adam goes away. He lets the inmates run the asylum, and then this is the result he gets.
Yeah, we're just going to wing it.
Yeah. It might be Fighter Fest. It might not be. Watch the space. But if you do want to contact us about our poor release schedule, how do they do that, Brett?
They can send their emails to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com, because I think Adam's the only one that checks that. They can get us on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter. We are at hardestpartpod, and they can check out our merch on hardestpartofthering.bigcartel.com.
Fantastic. Well, that's it. That's the end. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me, John.
No worries. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you. It was fun.
That's a very formal ending. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm professional like
In
that.
my head, we're shaking hands.
Yes.
We absolutely are. Thank you, Adam, for leaving me the keys to the castle. That was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest part of that ring.
On the hardest part of the ring.
Great balls of fire.